Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo, and in today's video I am trying out a new author. So there are many authors that I feel are YouTube darlings that I have never read, and I am really wanting to try them out, and I thought I could document the journey with you all. So the first author we are taste testing today is Claire Keegan. I've heard about Claire Keegan from numerous sources. One is one of my close friends, actually, who I talk about reading with all the time. She read both Foster and Small Things Like These and loved them. And so I'm taking her recommendation. But I've also heard about Claire Keegan from Jack Edwards here on YouTube, and he loves her writing. And so I'm hoping I will also love her writing. I'm going to read 3 of her books in this video. I'll be reading Foster, Small Things Like These, and her newest short story collection called So Late in the Day. I don't know much about these books. I know that they're short, and I also know that she writes really beautifully, or so I've heard. So I am excited to give them a try and see what I think about Claire Keegan as an author. I have finished my first Claire Keegan. I really should have come in and updated you after each short story in this collection. I read So Late in the Day, and but I couldn't because I was just like, I sat down and read the whole collection in one sitting. I wanted to go from one to the next, not in the way you might think. The reason I wanted to jump from one to the next is because I didn't like the first. So then I wanted to see if I would like the second, and then again I didn't necessarily like the second, so I wanted to see if I would like the third. And the weird thing was, I loved the writing, which is what I've heard about Claire Keegan, that she has beautiful writing. It's intricate. It really is so specific in how she writes different scenes. Like, one of the characters is just walking on the street and she writes about the smells and everything he sees and really describes everything he sees. And so I really loved that. But the stories were a little weird, I gotta admit. So I'm going to talk you through these first 3 stories I read. The first is called So Late in the Day, the titular story. And in this one, it is about a gentleman who is reflecting on why his fiance has left him the day of his wedding. And he really doesn't understand it because he thinks he's the bee's knees. But then we hear from our female character, kind of, that he's a misogynist and doesn't do anything for her when she does everything for him. And so I didn't like him as a character for obvious reasons. But again, still liked the writing and how descriptive it was. So then we jumped into the next story, which is called A Long and Painful Death. And instead of focusing on a man in this one, we focus on a woman. I should say, like, there's like a subtitle of So Late in the Day that it's called Stories of Men and Women. So we don't ever get names of these characters, it's just man and woman. So this one's about a woman, and she is a writer, and she has like rented a cottage to write in, and I think it's on a university campus, and so many people do this, and she has tried to get away so that she can write a story. And a gentleman contacts her who owns the house and is like, I want to come see the house. And she's like, not now, it's just the start of my day. And oddly enough, he's like right outside. And so we feel this eeriness, and Claire Keegan wrote this eeriness really, really well. But the main female character is like, no, come back later at 8 and then we'll talk. So instead of writing all day, she's preparing for this gentleman to come, and I guess he's maybe a prolific writer or something who owns this house and rents it out to other writers. And so she's nervous to have him come. She's preparing a meal, or maybe not a meal, but dessert and drinks and cleaning up, and feels really anxious for him to come. And then he comes, and he's weird. Like, he comes and looks around at all the rooms and sees how she's using the place, and she basically forces him to leave. She feels really uncomfortable, and then afterward she writes a story about a man and a woman who are married, and about how the man is slowly dying of cancer. And she kind of like revels in writing this story. So a little weird, but again, we're like truly feeling the feelings of the characters, getting their true emotions. And so I'm liking the feelings that her writing is evoking in me, but I think the stories are weird. Lastly, third story is called Antarctica. And I thought I would love it because Antarctica is a place I would always want to travel to. If you ask me, where do you want to visit? Antarctica would be my first answer, but this is more so the coldness of Antarctica that Claire Keegan is portraying in this short story. So this is about a woman who has a husband and child, I think, but she feels very tied down to her life and decides she wants to have an affair. She has only been with this one man her entire life and wants to try something different, but it's only going to be for one weekend. So she tells her husband she's going Christmas shopping in a city nearby and is going to be gone for the weekend. She finds a gentleman that she kind of hits it off with and has an affair with him. They like have this one night stand, she leaves, he ends up finding her again and wants her to come back for one last hurrah before she leaves the city. And then it gets creepy. Like, this gentleman doesn't want her to leave and takes matters into his own hands to make sure she doesn't leave. And this female character writes about how her biggest fear is to freeze to death, and then something happens that like her greatest, not that she dies, she does not die, but she just gets like cold and feels so uncomfortable and like she is in her worst nightmare. So that's that one. They all are very odd to me. I don't know, like I didn't like the storylines or the plots. Not that they had super big plots because they were 20-30 pages each short story, but again, loved the writing. So I'm hoping that the next book I pick up from Claire Keegan, which I think will be Foster, will be a little bit better plot-wise because we'll have a longer set of pages to read from. So the story will be longer and more fleshed out, but then keep that great writing because I really, really like the way she's writing. So, okay, that's where we're at. Sorry for the long ramble, but let's start our next Claire Keegan. I am halfway through Foster and loving it way more than the short story collection I read first from Claire Keegan. This one definitely has much more of a story, which I love, and the writing is still just very, very beautiful. So this one, we are following a young girl. How come I can't think of her name? Maybe we don't get her name. Is that a thing with Claire Keegan's writing? Because we did not get the main character's name in any of the short stories either. Wow. But am I maybe just losing it? Could be. Could be. Let's be honest. I really don't think she has a name. I'm like swiping through all the pages and I'm not seeing it. I see she's called like Petal, like as a affectionate name, but I don't think so. Maybe I'm crazy and I'll let you know when I actually finish the book. But so this one is about a young girl who is being given to a couple who doesn't have any children because her biological parents have too many kids and they have another child on the way and they cannot financially support another child. And so they give away their oldest. And so this girl is trying to learn how to live in this new home where there is a plethora of food and new clothes and a warm bed and parents who don't yell at her for wetting the bed, and just like she's learning how to be loved for the first time in her entire life. It doesn't specifically say how old she is, but with her still wetting the bed, I would maybe say like 6-ish. But she just, it seems like she had a really rough upbringing with her mom and dad, and now that her mom and dad are just kind of getting rid of her into some, I don't know if they're random or like how they found this couple, but a couple that lives in the Irish countryside is now taking care of her. And it's just really sweet how loving this couple is. We find out that they actually had a child previously, and so obviously they have that parental care within them, and they're able to give it immediately to our main character. So yeah, that's great to see. That the writing is just, again, really, really wonderful. I love how intricate it is and descriptive, and just makes you feel like you are there with the characters. So loving this one a heck of a lot more than the short story collection, and I will jump back on in a little bit once I've completed Foster. I should say this is only like 64 pages, so being halfway through isn't super far, but it's longer than the other short stories I read, so I'm counting it as more of a novella. Surprisingly, I have finished Foster. You know, the last time I updated you and told you I was halfway through? Ha! My Kindle was very confused because there was an additional excerpt in the back of Foster for one of Claire Keegan's other books, Small Things Like These, and yeah, I was probably like already 80 to 85% of the way through the book. So it ended off really great. Our main character ends up going back to her biological parents' house, and I don't understand that part. Like, why did they just get rid of her for a little bit? Like, maybe while the new baby was there? But I don't know. I mean, obviously they're her biological parents and they have the rights to her, but I don't understand why they would give her away for just a short amount of time and then take her back if they couldn't financially support her or emotionally support her, as it would seem. It ended really beautifully and sweetly. Like, it just, I don't know, it makes you think about true family, and maybe your true family isn't necessarily your biological family. You can find family in various ways and through various people, and I really liked what that had to say. I think I gave it 4 stars, if I'm remembering correctly, on my Goodreads. Yeah, just really enjoyed it, liked the writing, and liked a longer story format from Claire Keegan. So now we're going to jump into Small Things Like These. I did read a little bit of the excerpt at the end of Foster, and I think I'll enjoy it. Yeah, we shall see. Okay, so I am like 60% of the way through Small Things Like These and really enjoying it. Again, her writing is really, really great. This one, we have a named character. His name is Bill Furlong, and he lives in a small Irish town with his wife and 5 daughters. And he like provides coal for people and wood. He provides heating for people's buildings. And he is delivering coal to the local convent one day and like sees some disturbing things. And I mean, just like with how nuns are treating some of the women, or like the girls that go there. I assume girls are sent there to work, or it seems like maybe if they are impregnated when they're not married, and the nuns are treating them poorly. He feels really uncomfortable about it, but he doesn't know how to do anything about it because he just feels out of place. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, he was at the convent having tea with the mother, the head mother. What's her name? What is that called? I don't know. But he had found a girl in a very unfortunate situation, and she's trying to like explain it away, like that it was the girl's fault. So yeah, I'm interested to see where that storyline goes. Out of the storylines, I'm actually liking this one the most, maybe, of all of the Claire Keegans I've read so far. So this is maybe a good ending. I'm probably gonna finish it tonight because they're like 70-page books, Claire Keegan's books. And so being 60% of the way through, I only have like 30 pages left. So I am going to read it. I'm interested to see if Bill does anything about it. I feel like he is especially concerned about these girls' well-beings because he has 5 daughters of his own, and he thinks of these girls kind of in a parental way, or from a parental standpoint. So yeah, I'm excited to see. And again, still just like beautiful writing. Oh, I wanted to read something for you. Let me just get to the spot. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Every time I come back to my Kindle, I forget how to use it. Okay. So, Claire Keegan is describing the convent. Okay, so she says, the convent was a powerful-looking place on the hill at the far side of the river, with black, wide-open gates and a host of tall, shining windows facing the town. Year-round, the front garden was kept in order with shaved lawns, ornamental shrubs growing neatly in rows, the tall hedges cut square. Sometimes small outdoor fires were made up there whose strange greenish smoke carried down over the river and across town or away in the direction of Waterford, depending on how the wind was blowing. The weather had turned dry and colder, and people remarked on what a picture the convent made, how like a Christmas card it almost was, with the yews and evergreens dusted in frost, and how the birds, for some reason, had not touched a single berry on the holly bushes there. The old gardener himself had said so. I don't know, it's just like beautiful lyrical writing. All to explain one building. Like, it's just very detailed and lovely. So I'm gonna keep reading and we'll check back in at the end of the book. I have finished Small Things Like These and I really, really loved it. I think that the wonderful writing that I have experienced from Claire Keegan, from all of her stories, mixed with the plot line, I really, really loved. So there is a note at the end of this book, novella, whatever you want to call it, that this story is based off of the events that happened at the Magdalen laundries. So I guess that there was laundry services in convents and nuns took advantage of young girls in very unfortunate ways. And so while this is a work of fiction, it was based off of these events that happened at the Magdalen laundries. And so I didn't realize that it was kind of based off of historical fact, but I enjoyed the note at the end that Claire Keegan gave. And so ultimately, I feel like this story just talks about the good of human beings and what one should do to fellow human beings as a good person and how you should treat the people around you and how do you want to be known because of the way you treat people. So I loved it. I was leaning around a 4.5 rating, but I think it deserves a 5. So I'm giving it a 5. It would like be a 4.75 if that was a thing, but I'm just gonna go ahead and round it up to a 5-star for me. It was really, really, I mean, not delightful because the content matter was very unfortunate, especially for the girl that Bill focuses his attention on because she goes through the ringer. But I just feel like the goodness of humanity shone through, and I really loved that about this. So, my first author taste test, where I try out books from one certain author that I haven't read from before, I think it went really, really well. I will definitely read from Claire Keegan again. I loved her writing, and her stories intrigue me enough that I want to keep trying. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this went, and finding a great new author that I can try more works from when she comes out with them. So, thank you so much for watching this video. In the comments down below, let me know if you have read Claire Keegan and if you like her as an author. And then also let me know if there are any authors you would like me to try in a future author taste test or trying a new author. I don't know what to call this. But like this video on your way out, consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more bookish and bullet journaling content from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!